General Hospital spoilers reveal that Lucky has noticed Kristina has crossed the line, and her behavior is not only endangering others but also threatening the stability of all of Port Charles. Recently, Lucky has witnessed a disturbing change in Kristina's behavior. Once a passionate young woman who was sometimes impulsive, she has become increasingly reckless and thoughtless in her actions. One of the most notable new traits in Kristina's personality is her disregard for the consequences of her actions. She seems to be living in a world where she believes she can escape any trouble thanks to the influence of the Corinthos family. This change not only worries Lucky but also raises questions about whether something deeper is happening with Kristina. As new troubles continuously arise around Kristina. From Rick's accident to potential threats to other family members, Lucky has decided it's time to act. He can no longer stand by and watch Kristina self-destruct and put others in danger. In a surprising and dramatic moment, Lucky decided to confront Kristina, not with violence, but with the truth. At a Corinthos family meeting, attended by Sonny, Carly, Michael, and many others, Lucky began to reveal each dangerous event Kristina had caused in recent months. He presented evidence of Kristina tampering with Rick's car brakes, threats she had made toward Molly, and even some suspicious deals she had made in the name of the Corinthos company. This new shockwave rocked the room. Sonny, who had always prided himself on protecting his family, had to face the truth that his own daughter was the greatest threat. Carly, while always trying to protect her children, couldn't deny the evidence Lucky presented. Michael, who had tried to guide his sister, realized that his efforts had completely failed. Kristina, faced for the first time with the full extent of her actions, fell eerily silent. This silence wasn't a sign of remorse but a sign that she was considering her next move. In Kristina's eyes, Lucky saw a glimmer of calculation, a sign that, despite being exposed, Kristina wasn't ready to give up her dangerous game. As Lucky's revelations ended, the room fell into a heavy silence. Everyone realized that from this moment on, nothing would be the same. The Corinthos family, which had been through many trials, now faced a crisis from within. And Kristina, who had always sought attention and love, now had to face the possibility of losing everything she had taken for granted. This shockwave wasn't just about Kristina's actions but also about how the Corinthos family and all of Port Charles would respond. Would Sonny continue to protect his daughter at all costs? Or would he be forced to let Kristina face the consequences of her actions? Could Carly find a way to heal the family after this shock? And most importantly, could Kristina recognize the gravity of her actions and seek redemption, or would she continue down her self-destructive path? With these questions still unresolved, one thing was certain. Port Charles would never be the same after Lucky's revelations. This new shock had opened a new, turbulent, and unpredictable chapter in the story of the Corinthos family and the entire Port Charles community. Lucky had prepared carefully before deciding to reveal everything. In the weeks leading up to this, he had quietly gathered evidence, watched Kristina, and recorded every suspicious act she made. He consulted Jordan, who advised him to be cautious when dealing with the Corinthos family, but Lucky knew it was time to act. As a former police officer and someone who had witnessed too many tragedies in Port Charles, Lucky understood better than anyone that sometimes we must face harsh truths to prevent larger tragedies. In that fateful family meeting, Lucky not only revealed the Rick incident but also provided details of several other incidents Kristina had been involved in. He presented how Kristina had intentionally caused trouble in Molly and TJ's relationship, how she had threatened an employee at Kelly's cafe when the person refused to serve her after hours, and even an unknown incident where Kristina nearly caused a fire at her apartment due to carelessness. What shocked everyone most were the videos and messages Lucky had collected, showing Kristina boasting about how she could get away with anything thanks to her father's influence. In one particularly disturbing recording, Kristina even joked about the accident with Rick and how everyone was too stupid to realize what had really happened. Alexis, who was invited to the meeting at the last minute, reacted with an expression of horror and pain she couldn't hide. As a lawyer and a mother, she was torn between her instinct to protect her daughter and her moral responsibility as someone who respects the law. When Lucky revealed that Kristina had intentionally targeted the car she thought belonged to Ava, but accidentally harmed Rick, her own father's brother, Alexis had to grip the armrest to steady herself. Dante, as a police officer and Kristina's brother, found himself in an especially difficult position. He faced an unimaginable choice: to perform his duty as a law enforcer, or to protect his sister from the legal consequences of her actions. When his eyes met Lucky's, a silent understanding was conveyed. Sometimes real love means letting your loved one face the consequences of their actions. Jocelyn, who had once been very close to Kristina, couldn't hide her disappointment. She had trusted and admired Kristina, seeing her as a role model of confidence and decisiveness. Now, having to face the truth about how Kristina had exploited those qualities to harm others, Jocelyn felt as though a part of her childhood had been betrayed. As Lucky finished his presentation, he made a suggestion, not a demand or an ultimatum, but a genuine proposal born from concern. Kristina needs help. Not protection, not cover-ups, but real help. She needs to face the consequences of her actions. And she needs to learn how to live in a world where her name can't be a pass for every wrong behavior. Sunny's reaction stunned everyone. Instead of exploding in anger as expected, he remained eerily silent. His eyes never left Kristina's, and in them was a complexity of emotions that no one could fully decipher: sadness, disappointment, anger, and perhaps a late realization that his love for his daughter might have unintentionally contributed to the situation. When the meeting ended and everyone began to leave, heavy-hearted and confused, Lucky stayed behind to face any potential reactions. He knew that his actions wouldn't be well received by everyone, but he also knew it was the right thing to do. Kristina, finally breaking her silence, approached Lucky with a disturbing calmness. "What do you think you've done, Lucky? Do you think you've saved the day? You have no idea what you've just started." These words, spoken not in anger but with cold certainty, sent a chill down Lucky's spine. As Kristina turned away, Lucky wondered if he had done the right thing or had just opened a new Pandora's box of troubles. But deep down, he knew there was no other choice. Sometimes, to save someone from themselves, you have to be willing to risk them hating you. And with Kristina, perhaps that was a risk Lucky was ready to take. In the days to come, Port Charles would have to face the consequences of these revelations. Would Sunny use his power and influence to protect Kristina from the justice system? Or would he allow his daughter to face the full consequences? Would Alexis, as a lawyer, represent her daughter, or let someone else take on that role? And would Kristina, faced with the possibility of losing everything, seek redemption or sink deeper into her dark path? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain. The shock from Lucky's revelations has sent ripples that will continue to spread, forever changing the landscape of Port Charles and the fates of those living there. Kristina will develop a new obsession as she faces the brutal reality of being arrested and imprisoned. After shocking revelations from Lucky, the wheels of justice have begun to move in an unstoppable direction, and despite Sunny's efforts to protect his daughter, Kristina will eventually have to confront the severe consequences of her actions. The scene of Kristina being handcuffed and escorted out of the Corinthos mansion has become one of the most shocking moments in recent Port Charles history, leaving even those who knew about her crime stunned by this harsh reality. The new storyline is truly exploding, focusing on Kristina's actions and psychological adjustments behind the prison walls. The once spoiled girl who was confident she could escape any consequences now faces a completely different world, a world where the Corinthos name is no longer a shield and where she must learn to serve Eve without the familiar privileges. The first scenes of Kristina in prison show the true fear and confusion behind the tough exterior she had built. And viewers are witnessing a side of this character never explored before. One of the new pressures Kristina faces is extreme loneliness as family members gradually reduce their visits. Sunny, although still loving his daughter, has started to realize that his overprotectiveness might have contributed to her wrongdoing. Alexis, torn between motherly love and professional ethics, has decided to let another lawyer represent Kristina, creating an emotional distance between them. Molly, still struggling with the truth that her sister intentionally harmed their father, has completely refused to visit Kristina. This new obsession is creating deep transformations in Kristina's character. In the early days of prison, she maintained a defiant attitude, believing her family would soon get her out. But as time passed and the reality of the situation became clearer, Kristina began to experience rare moments of self-reflection. In conversations with a prison counselor, she began to dig deeper into the motives behind her actions: envy toward Molly, the feeling of being unrecognized in the family, and the desire to prove that she could be as strong and decisive as her father. However, beneath this process of self-awareness, Kristina's new scheming to destroy Ava is truly intensifying. Although physically imprisoned, Kristina's mind remains free, crafting intricate plans to take revenge on the woman she believes is the root cause of all her problems. In the journal she writes in prison, Kristina has outlined a detailed plan not only to ruin Ava but also to regain her status in Port Charles once she is released. Kristina's plan begins with using her time in prison to rebuild her image, from a spoiled girl to a woman who has changed and learned from her mistakes. She started participating in rehabilitation programs, volunteering in the prison library, and even organizing a support group for young female prisoners. All of this is designed to create a public image of atonement and personal growth, an image she hopes will soften the hearts of those who could influence her sentence reduction. At the same time, Kristina has begun gathering information about Ava through conversations with other prisoners and from snippets of news in magazines and newspapers she can access. She is particularly interested in details about Ava's business dealings, personal relationships, and any potential weaknesses she might exploit in the future. When a new inmate arrives, a woman with ties to the art world Ava is involved in, Kristina quickly befriends her and begins to extract information. Every new piece of Ava's life is carefully noted and analyzed by Kristina, like a chess game she is slowly setting up to her advantage. What is particularly notable about Kristina's new scheming is how she has begun using her time in prison to establish a communication network. Through phone calls and limited visits, she has started to plant seeds of doubt about Ava in the minds of those still in contact with her, a hint here, a suggestive question there. The goal is to create an atmosphere of suspicion around Ava, weakening her position in Port Charles even before Kristina is released. Through a fellow inmate with limited internet access, Kristina has even started creating an anonymous social media account to spread negative rumors about Ava and her art gallery. These posts, though small and seemingly harmless, are gradually creating an undercurrent of discontent and doubt surrounding Ava. Meanwhile, Ava, still unaware of the full extent of Kristina's hatred, is focused on rebuilding her life after recent revelations. She doesn't know that every step she takes is being closely monitored by Kristina, and that the revenge she faces won't come from Sunny or Alexis, but from a changed and far more dangerous Kristina when she is released. As Port Charles continues to adapt to Kristina's absence, few realize that the impulsive young girl has disappeared, replaced by a patient and calculating strategist who is slowly emerging. The only thing more dangerous than a Kristina acting on emotion is a Kristina who has learned to control those emotions and direct them toward a single goal, the complete destruction of Ava Jerome. The true shock waiting for Port Charles is not Kristina's downfall, but her resurrection, a newer, more dangerous, and more determined version of her. Honed by months in prison and driven by an insatiable desire for revenge, Kristina's new story is taking an unexpected turn, showing a profound shift in her character and motivations. One of the most notable new traits of Kristina is her cold, calculated nature and her ability to think long-term, which she previously lacked. Her time in prison has given her the opportunity to reflect and develop a new strategic mindset. The latest dramatic twist in her storyline is Kristina's bold decision. She will expose Ava's criminal actions. This is a completely unexpected move, going against her initial revenge plan. Kristina realizes that the best way to take down Ava is not through covert schemes, but by using the very legal system she is now facing. Kristina begins collecting evidence of Ava's illegal activities from inside prison. She uses her new network in prison, combined with what she already knew, to build a detailed file on Ava's crimes. This includes money laundering through the art gallery, links to criminal organizations, and even violent acts Ava has committed in the past. Once she has enough information, Kristina contacts law enforcement through her lawyer and offers to provide all this information in exchange for a plea deal. This is a bold move, showing a new maturity in Kristina's thinking. She is willing to sacrifice part of her revenge plan for a greater benefit. Kristina's actions send shockwaves through Port Charles. Ava, who had felt safe believing that Kristina was in prison and no longer a threat, suddenly finds herself facing a full investigation. Authorities, armed with detailed information from Kristina, quickly gather enough evidence to arrest Ava. The sight of Ava being handcuffed and escorted out of her art gallery has become one of the most shocking moments in recent Port Charles history. Nicholas, who had begun rebuilding his life with Ava, is once again caught in the whirlwind of betrayal and crime. Kristina's actions not only land Ava in jail but also trigger a chain reaction throughout the community. Sonny, despite still being angry at his daughter, can't help but feel a slight sense of pride at how Kristina turned the situation around. Carly, while still worried about Kristina's future, begins to see her daughter in a new light, as someone capable of calculating and decisive actions, just like her. However, Kristina's actions also have unforeseen consequences. Avery, Ava and Sonny's daughter, now faces the prospect of both her mothers being in prison. This raises a series of questions about who will care for her and how to protect her from the emotional damage this situation could cause. As news of Kristina's actions spreads, she begins to receive unexpected support from some of the people in Port Charles, who see her actions as a brave move to bring Ava to justice. This creates a complex situation when Kristina returns to society. She is both a convicted criminal and the person who helped put away a more dangerous criminal. This shift in the storyline not only impacts Kristina and Ava but also creates waves of change in the entire power structure of Port Charles. With Ava, one of the most powerful and controversial characters, now in jail, a power vacuum has been created, and many are trying to fill it. As Kristina prepares for an early release due to her cooperation, she faces a completely different Port Charles, a place where she is both a criminal and a hero, both a victim and an avenger. How she navigates this new maze of relationships and expectations will not only shape her future but also the direction of many storylines in General Hospital going forward. Meanwhile, in prison, Ava and Kristina now find themselves in a new confrontational situation. Although in different holding areas, news of each other's presence quickly spreads. Their battle has now moved from the streets of Port Charles to the walls of the prison, creating a new and dangerous dynamic both women must carefully navigate. Kristina and Ava will be transferred to Pentonville Prison, a dramatic development that forces the two bitter enemies into the same confined, dangerous living space. For Kristina, this is both a nightmare and an unexpected opportunity. She will face the woman she exposed directly, but at the same time, she has a chance to carry out the assassination plot she has been harboring. From the first day at Pentonville, the tension between the two women is palpable. Ava's hateful gaze follows Kristina's every step on the prison grounds, while Kristina remains calm but ever watchful. Other inmates quickly pick up on the deep animosity between them and begin to pick sides. Some align with Ava, hoping to benefit from her connections and resources outside, while others are drawn to Kristina's story and her defiant attitude toward Port Charles's art queen. The assassination plot against Ava is slowly taking shape in Kristina's mind, not as an impulsive act, but as a carefully calculated strategy. She begins to build a network of allies within the prison, from inmates who have grudges against Ava to prison staff who can be manipulated. Kristina carefully studies Ava's daily routine, identifies blind spots in the surveillance system, and slowly accumulates materials that could be turned into weapons. This new explosion in the storyline is getting more and more insane as Kristina discovers that she's not the only one who wants Ava dead. A mysterious group of inmates, connected to criminal activities Ava had once betrayed in the past, is also making their own plans. This puts Kristina in a complex situation. She could team up with them to achieve her goal faster. But that would mean losing control over when and how Ava dies. Meanwhile, Ava, with her sharp survival instincts, has started sensing the danger closing in. She's no longer an easy prey. Instead, Ava has started to build her own empire within the prison, using charm, intelligence, and outside connections to protect herself. This creates an underground battle between the two women, each quietly gathering forces and waiting for the right moment to strike. The situation becomes even more complicated when Sonny, aware that his daughter is in danger, begins using his connections to monitor the situation at Pentonville. He is not only concerned for Kristina's safety but also worries that she might do something reckless that could extend her prison sentence. Although Sonny is no longer romantically involved with Ava, she remains the mother of his child, and he understands that her death would have a profound impact on Avery. An unpredictable new element adds to the chaos, a mysterious new inmate with a history connected to both Ava and the Corinthos family. This woman quickly becomes an unpredictable variable, seemingly having her own grudge against both Kristina and Ava, and secretly manipulating both to destroy each other. As Kristina's assassination plot nears its completion, she begins to experience rare moments of hesitation. She wonders if she is truly ready to become a killer, and whether this revenge will truly give her the satisfaction she seeks. These brief moments of weakness reveal that, beneath the hardened exterior filled with hatred, Kristina still has a part of her humanity that prison has not entirely erased. In one particularly tense scene, Kristina stands outside the bathroom where Ava is alone, a makeshift knife hidden in her sleeve, everything ready for the decisive moment. Kristina's gaze reflects a fierce inner struggle, between the desire for revenge and the fear of irreversible consequences. As she steps into the bathroom, the audience can only hold their breath, waiting to see whether Kristina will take the final step in her plan or find another way to resolve this deep-seated grudge. This explosive storyline is creating one of the most captivating plots in General Hospital. It's not just a story about revenge, it's a profound exploration of the boundary between justice and vengeance. About how the harsh environment of prison can both expose and transform a person's nature, and about how far a person can go when driven by hatred. As events continue to unfold in Pentonville, General Hospital fans are holding their breath, waiting to see who will emerge victorious in this battle of wills between Kristina and Ava. One thing is certain, regardless of the outcome, neither woman will ever be the same after this life-or-death confrontation.